Siomra Biog.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Tiny Room. Welcome back to Michael and Benjamin's podcast. I am the Michael of Michael and Benjamin's podcast, and I am joined by the man who put the Ben into mind-bendingly hot takes on pop culture topics. It's Ben.
I'll boggle your brain, Michael. I'll boggle your brain with my roasting hot takes.
You bloody will, Ben. Ben, the original joke I wrote down was he puts the Ben back in Bender. And then, Ben, I got a phone call, and it was the 90s, and they said to me, "Hello, Mick, this is the 90s speaking. We'd like our regressive attitudes towards homosexual slurs back, please." So I think we all learned a lesson that there's neither the time nor the place for that.
We'll have less of those regressive homosexual slurs. Do you know, Michael, in this modern age, a man can sing. A man can dance. A man can do a little musical number before a podcast. For example,
the music for the podcast. We don't actually have anything music.
Very good and very amusing. Benjamin.
Yeah.
It has been, speaking of regressive things this week, it hasn't been a great week for the cinematorium.
No, we've not been doing great, Michael. We haven't had a lot.
No.
Haven't had a lot to go on.
No, Benjamin, and the latest somewhat bad news brought to us by this month's developments in the world of COVID is that the James Bond number 26, James Bond, This Is Neither the Time Nor the Place to Die, has once again, I came up with that earlier, I was pretty proud of it.
It's very good.
It has been pushed back once again, Ben, to March next year, probably.
Yeah, I think everything, Michael, it's really interesting, isn't it? Hollywood's just not getting with the times here. They're like, no, but I want my premiere. I want my worldwide release. I want my cinema.
Here's the funny thing, though, Ben.
Yeah.
As you know, Ben, James Bond, the license to James Bond is owned by the Broccoli family.
I didn't know that, Michael.
Yeah, they're Italians, and they own the James Bond characters, the Broccolis. They're named after the vegetable. And Benjamin, that in turn is then owned by Regency Pictures.
Oh, yes.
And Regency Pictures, Ben, in turn, are owned by your friend and mine, Cineworld Cinemas.
Oh, well, Michael, we have a Cineworld cinema right here in Dublin town.
We do indeed, Ben. I used to work there, in fact.
What?
And Benjamin...
Hang on, wait. Whoa.
Yes?
You worked in Cineworld Cinema.
Yes, I did. Did you not know this?
You and I have known each other these 3 long years. These 3 and something long years.
Benjamin, we've known each other a lot longer than 3 years. Just to be sure. You were in Italy 3 years ago, pretty much.
In 2018, Michael.
Yeah, it's been a long time, Ben. Yeah, it's
okay,
2020 now.
We've known each other these long, non-definable years.
Yeah.
And I have never known that you worked in a cinema.
Yeah, I worked in Cineworld Cinema, Ben. It's a long... I have some good tales, Ben, I'll tell you sometimes.
That's how you do.
Yeah. Ben, my favourite was the film 9 Songs. Did you ever see the film 9 Songs?
I never had the pleasure of seeing the film 9 Songs.
9 Songs was the closest thing to a pornographic film ever released in the cinema in Ireland. And it was my job to help older gentlemen out of the screen when they had finished their business.
Oh, Michael, no.
Yes, it was quite unpleasant. Benjamin, that's not what we're here to talk about, though. Cineworld, unlike when they showed 9 Songs and older gentlemen watched it, have had a bit of a strop about this announcement.
Why?
And they have said, well, if we're not doing James Bond, well, that's it, we're done. And they're closing all their cinemas until March next year.
Oh, what?
Oh yeah, isn't that big news?
Oh wow, that's a hefty lump of news.
That's a big old chunk of news, all right, isn't it?
That's a global. That's a fair whack of economies around the world taking a hit there.
Yeah. A lot of jobs.
That's a lot of jobs.
A lot of jobs, and I don't know how big Cineworld are internationally, to be honest, but I know that they are the biggest cinema in Ireland.
That's a bit of a strop, Michael. That's a strop and a half.
Not the biggest cinema chain in Ireland, Ben.
Who's that? View?
I don't know, actually.
It doesn't really matter, Michael. That's for our other podcast, The Economics of Screen. Bloody making silver from the screen. Look at the economics of cinemas around the world.
All it took was James Bond, This Is Neither the Time or Place for Dying, to be cancelled. And now the cinema industry in Ireland is going to fold. So, Ben, that's not great, is it?
No, it's pretty terrible news, Michael, that I didn't know about until you bloody brought it up on this here podcast.
Well, that's one of the things that this podcast is for, Ben. It's keeping people up to date with pop culture news.
The depressing pop culture news of cinema's decline in Ireland.
But don't worry, Ben. There is also positive news.
Go on.
Because while cinema is reeling, Ben, television, or not television, do we even call it television anymore, Ben? Let's just call it collectively the streaming services.
Yes, that's what they are, Michael.
Yeah, the streaming services are chugging along nicely.
Well, that's good news, Michael. That's excellent news, Michael.
Yeah,
I believe,
yeah.
Michael, you have a bit of news for me.
What are you looking up, Ben?
Sorry, I'm being distracted by something. I'm looking up Cineworld's decline in Dublin. Leave me alone.
Okay, right. Benjamin, you'll remember that Jennifer Walters is the cousin of the Incredible Hulk.
She is, yeah.
Yeah, and she gets a blood transfusion from the Incredible Hulk and becomes the equally incredible She-Hulk.
She-Hulk, Shulk.
Yeah, and Ben, she's getting a TV show, and now there's a lead.
Who is?
Your favourite actress, Ben, and mine, Tatiana Maslany.
Oh, yes, the girl whose several posters I have on my wall.
Yes. You'll remember her, Ben, from Orphan Black.
I won't, but yeah, go on.
Have you never seen the show Orphan Black?
No, Michael, I've been told about the show Orphan Black by one Michael J. Leonard.
It's a good show, Ben. It's in the show, Tatiana Maslany plays all of the female characters.
And she's very good, apparently, Michael.
She's very, very, very good. She's won many awards, Ben.
Awards, you say?
It's an interesting casting choice.
Go on.
It would seem to imply to me, Benjamin,
Yes.
that they're going to go down the same route as they did with Mark Ruffalo and Hulk.
In that they have two distinct
Looks.
warring personalities.
Not necessarily warring personalities, and part of She-Hulk is that she retains her intelligence in Hulk form.
Yeah, she's a pretty smart lady.
She's a smart lady. She's a lawyer.
She's got legal prestige.
But I imagine they'll be doing... it looks like it's going to be a big CGI character, because you're not just going to paint Tatiana Maslany green.
That's
and
not
have
going to work.
No, it's not going to work, Ben. She's not that big.
Were you hoping for a Lou Ferrigno style Hulk series?
I very much wasn't, Ben. And what I'm saying is that this casting shows that it isn't going to be that.
You left me
thankfully.
wide open, Michael. I had to take the shot.
No.
Super
I
shot.
think you're right. I think you were right to ask, Ben. No. So, it's not like 15 years ago when everyone was saying China from the WWE should play She-Hulk. That wouldn't work. Because then they just paint her green and it would be very cheap.
How excellent would that be? Oh.
It would be pretty good, but there's no woman alive big enough to play She-Hulk non-CG, Ben. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Plus, they have that Disney budget, Michael.
They've got that Disney money, Ben. They've got that WandaVision budget. They've got that Winter Soldier and Bucky budget.
They've got that Tom Holland Spider-Man money, yo.
They've got that, Ben. They've got that bloody... They've got that Miss Marvel budget.
They've got that more money than this podcast will ever make, Michael. Money.
Oh, yeah. Of course they do, Ben. That's ridiculous. This podcast costs money.
Yeah.
Benjamin, the other piece of casting news, I was doing a segue there, but you just trod all over it because you're so unaware of what's going on. They've also cast Miss Marvel for the TV show Miss Marvel.
Excellent. Well done, Michael. Now, Michael, between you and I, as a little wry aside here, we're going to educate the listeners by saying that's not Captain Marvel, Michael, because she's already been cast.
No,
Tell me, who even is?
That's Brie Larson, Ben.
Brie Larson.
She was in the film Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel starring Brie Larson.
Starring Brie Larson, yes. Ben, why don't you tell us who even is Miss Marvel? And then you start telling us that, and I'll just wait until you've said something wrong, and then I'll hop in and contradict you.
Excellent. That's wonderful. Thank you. So... Miss Marvel.
That's how the podcast works, Ben.
That is how the podcast works. Yeah, I know. It just hurts my soul every time we actually say that out loud. So,
yeah. Go on.
Michael, Miss Marvel is the 2011 character that was introduced in the Marvel Now reboot at the time.
Yeah, 2013, but close enough.
2013. Okay, fair enough. Good. We're off to an excellent start. See, if you had told me this, Michael, I probably could have looked her up and had some of this information.
That's the source of a lot of the humor of this bit, Ben, to be honest with you.
And the big difference here, Michael, is that this Miss Marvel is an Inhuman.
Yeah.
Because this was during the period where Marvel was like, well, if we can't have the rights to X-Men, let's just bloody make everybody an Inhuman.
Very much so, Ben. Although you'll never find that officially written down somewhere. You might, in 20 years, in a looking back on Marvel in the 2010s retrospective.
But unofficially, that was everywhere.
Yeah.
And what happened there, Michael? We got Kamala. I'm going to get the name wrong.
Kamala Khan. No, you're right. You're on the right track.
Kamala Khan. And Kamala Khan was a teenager.
Yeah.
And the really interesting thing about Kamala Khan, and something that made her a little bit of a progressive character, Michael, is that she's Muslim.
She's a Muslim teenage girl.
She's a Muslim teenage girl. She's about 13 years old, Michael.
I don't remember.
when her powers are activated, and she becomes a shape-shifting kind of creature, and she names herself after Captain Marvel, who she aspires to be. She's very impressed by that lady. And Michael, to say that Kamala Khan was an international sensation would be an understatement. She took off and became massively popular around the world in terms of...
She's all over the place, Ben. She's in comic books. She is the main character, Ben, believe it or not, in the 2020 Avengers video game from Square Enix.
What?
Yeah, she's the main character.
That's very unusual, Michael, isn't it?
Well, Benjamin, that game revolves around the Avengers being disassembled.
Oh, classic.
And then you enter the scene as Kamala Khan, young Kamala Khan, and take it upon yourself to sort it out.
K-Dog. Cleaning up the streets.
I don't know if that's what they call her, but you can call her that. That's fine. Anyway, Benjamin.
Go on.
She has been casted.
She's been casted by who?
By Sony. No, Marvel, I guess.
And who is it to be?
Her name is Iman Vellani, Ben. She's a young Canadian lady.
What?
What? Yeah.
That's fair enough.
I mean, she's a newcomer, Ben, so I don't think there's much to say about her.
You'd probably need that, though, Michael, for such a character. You'd need a newcomer. You couldn't have a celebrity filling in the boots there.
Yeah, I would have cast Alison Brie from Community. Yeah.
And I probably would have gone with the more established character of Captain Marvel.
No, I would have cast Alison Brie, not Brie Larson. Alison Brie from Community.
Well, you see, there's a problem there, Michael, in terms of representation. Alison Brie isn't Muslim, you see.
Yeah, she's a 30-something-year-old white woman. But, you know,
in fairness,
I would have done colorblind casting.
Play. She has a baby face.
Yeah, I don't know if she could, Ben. Also, I wouldn't have. I think it's great casting. Well, I mean, I don't think it's great casting because I don't know if she's any good. But she certainly looks the part.
It's appropriate casting, Michael. It's appropriate casting.
Yeah. So
Michael, what else have you got?
Ben.
Yes.
It's all casting news this week.
Oh, yes.
And there is the maddest bit of casting news of the entire year.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is bonkers, Ben.
Okay.
Like, this is weird.
Go on.
Guess who is playing Electro in the next Spider-Man film?
Oh, Michael, I do know this bit of news, Michael, he's blue. He's a little bit obsessed. He's got a thing for electric eels. It's Mr. Jamie Foxx.
And you're talking about the actor Jamie Foxx there, not the character.
Yes, he's blue and fell into a vat of electric eels and was transformed and became a Hollywood sensation because he doesn't need special effects to do his roles.
Yeah. He's playing Electro, Ben. They're bringing him back.
They're bringing him back.
What's going on? But they're not bringing him Black Blue.
No, he's going to be a different Electro, according to Mr. Jamie Foxx.
Yeah, what's going on, Ben?
I don't know, Michael. I don't know. What really fascinates me here, Michael, is that Electro was probably one of the least popular characters of the ill-fated 2014?
I'd say so, yeah.
Mark Webb directed series starring Andrew Garfield and Miss Emma Stone.
Andrew Garfield and everyone else.
And everyone else, Michael.
There was Green Goblin, there was Electro, there was Sandman, there was the Lizard, No, Sandman wasn't it. But there was too many people in that film.
There was a nod towards the Lizard, there was a bloody Rhino, Paul Giamatti playing the Rhino.
Yeah. So,
and
Benjamin,
Michael,
go on.
It wasn't very good.
It wasn't great, Ben. But I don't know if you ever read the leaked Sony emails that led to the whole Spider-Man Fox merger. But Kevin Feige liked it. He liked Jamie Foxx's Electro, and he sent them notes saying, take out the apartment scene where he's at home talking to himself, obsessing about Spider-Man, which clearly shows him to be a complete and utter mental case.
Yes.
And then you have a good character.
Do you know what? They probably should have listened to Marvel wizard Kevin Feige.
They probably should have listened to him. And Benjamin, in light of this announcement, I watched back the scene, the Central Park, not Central Park, what's that place called? Times Square.
Oh yeah, the Times Square scene.
The Times Square scene from Amazing Spider-Man. And if you take out the backstory and the teeth gap and the nerdy guy who everyone forgets his name, if you take out that overly hammy side of the character, he's pretty cool.
Is this the scene, Michael? One of the things that fascinates me the most about that scene that you're talking about is they use Jamie Foxx's paranoid monologue as soundtracking.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
And it's pretty good. It's definitely the best scene in the film, and it's incredibly Kanye West inspired.
There is a bit of that, all right.
When you look at it, and it's such a little time capsule of the zeitgeist in 2014 in one thing, and it would have been class.
Yeah, except for that whole he's at home and he's a nerd and he has a birthday party for himself and everyone hates him.
The nerd thing was weird.
It was.
The strange, the wardrobe choice, the
gap in the teeth that disappeared when he became Electro.
It's just weird.
That scene is great, Ben. It starts with everyone shouting at him and a kind of faint buzz of electricity.
Yeah.
Then his own paranoid ramblings start coming in, and the electricity buzz gets even louder. And then it all merges into a combination of the environmental sound of the fight and the soundtrack. It's cool. I assume it was Hans Zimmer, but I don't know.
It's pretty interesting. It's always probably safe to assume any kind of blockbuster. It was probably Hans Zimmer or Hans Zimmer taking the credit.
Yeah, I'll look it up while you spin your wheels.
I have. What were we supposed to talk about, Michael? I don't have anything to spin my wheels about.
Oh, okay. Well, fair enough then. You just spin your wheels there.
Oh, great.
Well,
So anyway, it's pretty interesting, and I think Jamie Foxx this is probably one of the first cases.
It is Hans Zimmer.
There you go. You nailed it. This is pretty interesting in that it's one of the first times, Michael, that an actor has been brought back to play the same character in a second universe, apart from J.K. Simmons, who's been brought back to play bloody J. Jonah Jameson.
Oh, no. And then, Ben, there's also the weird thing that Michael Keaton's Vulture is going to be in Morbius.
Yeah, what's that? Is Morbius still a thing? Is that still happening?
I don't know. We haven't heard sight nor sound of it.
It's just disappeared.
It's fucking weird. So there's weird shit going on in the Sony Spider-Man universe. I think they're heading towards a Spider-Verse. I think they're going to do a live-action Spider-Verse.
Oh, should they though, Michael?
I think they're going to. I think that's where it's going.
Oh, I don't know how I feel about it.
No. Yeah.
Oh, no. Anyway, Michael, go on. You have more news for me.
No, I don't actually, but you wanted to talk about the Spider-Man controversy about what his face should look like.
Oh, yeah, Michael. The PS5 is coming out, Michael, and the Xbox S, is that what the competitor is?
Xboxes, yeah.
Yeah, Xboxes. And, Michael, they're remastering all their recent games, Michael, because that'll give them a nice little cannon to launch with the console. Yeah. Within that comes one of the PS4's most successful titles, Spider-Man.
PlayStation Spider-Man. It's great. It's a good game.
Great game. Michael, they've re-released it, and as usual, I'm not that into redefined games, and they're like, oh, look at these edgy graphics. But they did what can only be described as a pretty interesting choice, Michael. They've completely redesigned the Peter Parker character.
Yeah, weird.
Everybody else is the same.
Yeah, weird.
And they've decided to make him younger.
Yeah, it's weird.
In the new one, and blockier, and more like Tom Holland.
Yeah, it's weird.
But if Tom Holland had a baby with a sim, it's weird.
Yeah, it's weird. Why did they do it? I don't know why they did it.
And Michael, there's controversy, to say the least.
Of course there is.
Because people are like, wait. This isn't like a HD redo. This is a completely different version of the character.
They've just redone it. It's bizarre.
Not that it matters, Michael. Not that it matters. That's not the only bit of controversy that has come with this, because they've announced their sequel to that game, which is starring Miles Morales, which, Michael, makes perfect sense because he was introduced in that game. And a pretty interesting character in terms of representation. But Michael, here's an interesting thing for you.
Give me the interesting thing.
A lot of gamers don't know that Miles Morales is a thing in the comics.
Do they not?
And their video launch was marred by the thing of, oh great, they're making Spider-Man black now. And people were like, no. Peter Parker isn't
10
black.
years ago. What are you talking about?
Yeah. No. Peter Parker isn't black. That's Miles Morales. And they were like, oh, typical SJW bullshit. And it was great, Michael. It was a lot of fun.
Get up to date with your racism, lads. That's 10 years ago racism.
It's so interesting, isn't it? It's
They should get onto the 90s and talk about calling people benders. It's not acceptable.
It's weird, Michael, that racists just can't get with the times, isn't it?
Get with the times, racists. At least get upset about up-to-date stuff.
That little message there from Michael and Benjamin's podcast should sort out racism in the 21st century.
We've done it. I'm still upset that there's a female Hulk, to be honest with you. That's ridiculous. There doesn't have to be a Spider-Woman. There doesn't have to be a female of everything else. Why can't they just be secretaries? It's ridiculous.
Betty Brant was a great character in the Spider-Man comics, and she was happy in her medium job.
Yeah. Pepper Potts. It's great. All these female versions of it's ridiculous. Just in case this comes back to haunt me in 15 years out of context, that was satire. I was doing a satire.
It's really interesting, Michael. In an alternate universe, that could have been what this podcast was.
Oh yeah, no, that'd be great. It'd probably have more listeners, Ben.
Just a very bitter.
Yeah. The bitterer the podcast, the more the listeners as there are.
Anyway,
the bitterer the listener.
Michael,
Benjamin, go on.
What's left?
I think that's it. Is that all the news? I don't. I've nothing else written down here.
All right, Michael. Last week,
all I've got written down here, Ben, is casting news, Sony's Spider-Man, sort out racism, and then PS5 Spider-Man.
And we've done all that, Michael.
We've done all of that. We've
primarily the racism lark.
Yeah.
And we can move on now.
Yes, Benjamin.
So Michael.
Yes.
Last week, you and I took a look at the film Dune, or rather the trailer for the film Dune.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it like that for the whole episode.
That'll be grating.
And that led to a prompt by a good friend and enemy of myself, Pup and Riker on Instagram, or also known as Podcast Wanker, also known as Shane.
Yeah, he's on the podcast sometimes.
He's on the podcast quite often, actually. And Shane said, do you know what? You millennials. Yeah. This was aimed at me. You keep going along and looking at those sci-fi classics and saying, pshaw. I don't have to read that. It's old.
Yeah.
And then he said, your hubris comes back to bite you in the ass because people like you, Ben, you go and you read your Dune and you love it.
Yeah, and it's very good, Ben. It's an all-time classic.
It's an all-time classic, Michael. And I was like, yeah, fair enough. And he's like, you should have to eat your own hat and do an episode where you looked at other old things that are still great.
Yeah, eat crow, as they say.
So here I am, bib tucked, knife and fork in hand, feathered avian of blackish night in front of me, and I'm about to have a little nibble, Michael. So that's what we're going to be looking at today.
It's a metaphorical crow, though, Ben. Please don't eat that bird that you have in front of you.
No, I'm only joking. It's a prop, Michael. It's a prop.
Oh, good. Yeah.
It's a prop for Halloween. Spooky prop. So anyway, Michael, I've decided to do just that.
Go on,
take a bloody look at it. And I've come up with a few classics, Michael. I spent the week researching and having a lookaroo. We also asked the listeners, and we'll get to that in time. But I took a look at what might work. And Michael, I decided to start with something that you, but predominantly Shane, are a big fan of. And I took a look at The Stand from 1978 and Mr. Stephen King.
The Strand?
The Strand, yeah. It's out towards, you know where it is?
Dollymount.
Out towards Dollymount there. And it's really interesting. So Stephen King travelled here in 1978, and he found the Strand, and he found enormous peace there. But he said, wouldn't it be interesting if you let a virus loose in Dublin and let it divide the citizens right down the middle between those who fall into anarchy and a worship of chaos and those who kind of turn towards religious cult followings and things like that. And then he said, oh, that'd be good, but it probably wouldn't sell in America. So what I'll do is I'll just set it in America instead.
Right.
Now, that's a little known fact, Michael, that most of Stephen King's novels have been inspired by Dublin.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, like the film It. Stephen King was visiting Dublin yet again, and he went to Duffy's Circus here in Dublin while he was there and had a very scarring experience with a clown and said, oh man, isn't it weird that clowns walk around in sewers here? And he was like, oh, I should probably just set that in America so it sells.
Yeah, in northeastern America.
Bloody Derry, Maine.
Benjamin, what the hell is The Stand?
The Stand, Michael, is a 1978 novel about the collapse of society.
Oh, I like those.
Well, there's a lot of those today, Michael, so you'll enjoy today's episode. Michael, I took a look at this for one reason and one reason only. You and I are living through the coronavirus.
We are, yeah.
And it's pretty interesting because every once in a while you'll go through things, and the amount of conspiracy theories that pop up around this coronavirus being a weaponized virus and it's been unleashed on purpose and rings very true. It smacks, Michael, of 1978, The Stand.
Go on.
Now, The Stand is a tome. Okay, right. It is basically a barn door of a novel. It's huge, and it's kind of one of those classic Stephen King things that goes on and on and on and on and on and on. A bit like this podcast, Michael.
Unstoppable.
And it features around that exact incident happening in the United States of America, Michael. There is a weaponized virus created.
Yeah.
And it breaks out in a facility And one of the security guards there, a man called Charles Campion, he takes the anti-masker attitude.
All right.
He kind of says, well, I'm going to look after my family. So he slips out before the lockdown of the CDC facility that would contain that breach. Oh. And he's like, well, I'm going to get my family and bloody drive across the country.
Well, he's going to infect everyone now, Ben.
He is, because he's a selfish git, Michael. And that's exactly what happens. So he drives around, starts infecting people. And it gets out that this virus has been spreading. So what does the United States government do, Michael?
I'd say just shut off the whole town.
Yeah, well, that would be the sensible thing to do, Michael. But what they actually do is they unleash the virus on China and Russia and try to make it look like their fault. They're like,
Trump.
it was them. It was those guys.
Yeah.
And they unleashed the virus. And then, Michael, basically the fallout of that virus being unleashed, it has a 99.4% fatality rate.
That's pretty high, Ben. That is considerably higher than the coronavirus.
Pretty darn high, Michael. Pretty darn high. And you can imagine what that would do to the landscape, Michael. It'd imagine what it would do to the political geoscape.
There'd be very few people.
And it wipes them all out, Michael, except for handfuls of survivors here and there.
Right.
Now, that doesn't sound very Stephen King-y, Michael. That sounds like a traditional kind of bloody virus novel. But then
here we
deal
go
with the societal breakdown that comes after that, Michael. So society begins to break down, and we follow, I suppose our main window into this new society, Michael, is a man called Stu.
Stu. Like a warming winter meal.
A warming winter meal guides us through a post-apocalyptic American landscape.
Very good. Delicious.
And really what breaks down from there, Michael, are the themes of what would happen to humanity in a vacuum of belief or system or structure. How would it go? And it's a bit like Lord of the Flies if Lord of the Flies had nuclear weapons.
Oh, gross.
Yes, it's pretty bad. Pretty bad.
Instead of just putting sticks up each other's bums.
So there's a bit of... Yeah, no sticks up the arse in this. Well, I can't remember. I haven't read it to completion, Michael, because it's a tome.
Yeah, it's too big for you. Too many words.
It's too many bloody words, Michael. So anyway, what happens is... In the most Kingian kind of aspect of it is that humanity begins to dream. Oh. And what they dream is they have one of two dreams, Michael. Either they are visited by, and I have her name written down here, Miss Abigail. Oh, where's it gone? Oh, it's disappeared, Michael. Yeah, sorry. Mother Abigail.
That's her name, isn't she? Just, Mother Abigail.
Mother Abigail. Or Randall Flagg. Now, for any Kingian... lovers out there. Randall Flagg we've seen before, Michael.
We have. He was bloody Matthew McConaughey.
He's bloody Matthew McConaughey. And he is there as well. And in one vision, Mother Abigail is like, come to me, children. I am the light of the Lord. I will save you through a nice, cleansing, Garden of Eden style new world.
Oh, very Jesus-y.
And on the other side, you have Randall Flagg who's like, get your fucking arse over here or I'm going to hunt you down. And so you have those two very distinct things. And Randall Flagg is, I suppose, the devil of this particular tale. And Mother Abigail is the Eve or the shining light of the tale. Now, Michael.
Yeah?
It smacks of false religious salvation, which Stephen King has written about severely over the years.
Yeah, he loves it.
It's a warning of false idols and whatnot. So anyway, Stu decides to rock on over to Mother Abigail. And we kind of get a glimpse into that society. And the rest of the book is taken up really, Michael, with the clash between the forces of Randall Flagg, chaos and anarchy, and the forces of Mother Abigail, attempting to reintroduce a system. Now, why did I choose this, Michael? Because bloody hell, Michael. Bloody hell. How relevant. How relevant for the modern discourse in that America. Very interesting.
Yeah.
It has interesting parallels. I'd say occasionally... Stephen King is like, oh God. Oh God.
Oh, what did I do? Maybe I'm the future predictor.
But there was an interesting little moment at the beginning of coronavirus where a lot of people were trying to compare The Stand to what was currently happening in America. And Stephen King actually had to weigh in and say, you clearly haven't read The Stand.
Yeah, I wrote it.
It's very violent, filled with nuclear weapons. And it has nothing to do with coronavirus. Because lots of people are like, it's The Stand. It's The Stand. And it's like, nope. No, it isn't. No. But the political and ideological split between Mother Abigail and Randall Flagg is a little bit like what we see in America, in different strokes and painterly brushes. You have those who are kind of pushing for new world order, new system, new this. And there are other people who are trying to rule through fear and domination, Michael. Very Randall Flagg-esque kind of world.
Get out of here, Randall.
So that's the first one that I chose, Michael, because I thought, I was thinking to myself, that's pretty relevant, pretty good.
Well, Benjamin, you must be pretty excited then for the upcoming miniseries, The Stand.
I am.
Which is coming out on CBS All Access on December 17, 2020.
CBS All Access? Is that where it's coming out?
Starring some of your favourite actors, James Marsden.
I love James Marsden.
He's Cyclops. Yeah, Amber Heard, you're a big supporter of her.
Oh, no.
And Alexander Skarsgård as Randall Flagg.
Oh, now you see that, Michael, there's some casting.
That's good, isn't it?
Oh, that's some good casting. So that's coming out, Michael. There's also an ill-fated 1980s adaptation of this particular book.
Was it
as a TV series. And, that whole thing is up on YouTube if you want to take a look at it. So 80s.
Is it as good as the 1990s adaptation of... you sure it was the 80s?
No, it could have been the 90s. Could have been the 90s.
I think it was the 90s. It was 1994.
It's
not as good as it's not as good as Stephen King's It. It's not as good as Stephen King's Tommyknockers. It's better than Stephen King's Dreamcatchers. But it's not great.
Many things are better than Stephen King's Dreamcatchers.
Yeah.
Many things. But it's an interesting thing, and I think it deals with a lot of what we kind of see in a much tamer version. Now, Michael, I am not for a second implying that Randall Flagg's ideology is rampant in America.
Yeah, you are.
Well, I actually am, yeah. I stand by that.
Yeah, you're basically what you've gone ahead there and said is Donald Trump is Randall Flagg.
That's not what I said.
That's what you said.
I didn't say that once. I heavily implied it. Didn't say it once. And that way, Michael, we won't be sued.
Benjamin, have you ever read The Mask of the Red Death?
Yes, Michael, by Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah, isn't that an interesting one about like a group of rich socialites having a party during a plague in a big house?
And they're coming back to bite them in the ass, Michael.
Yeah. That's apropos of nothing, Ben.
Apropos. Very good.
Edgar Allan Poe. Did you get it?
Very good. I wonder what inspired you to think of that, Michael.
Well, we're talking about horror things.
And moronic elites doing things that really
No,
we're
not talking about that, Ben. This isn't a political podcast.
It isn't. No, it isn't. It isn't at
right,
all.
come on, get a move on. What's next? I can see your notes there,
Michael. I took a look at an even more classic work of fiction, The Sirens of Titan.
I've never heard of that, Ben. What in the heck is that?
So in 1951, Kurt Vonnegut, who is the eminent American writer of science fiction and deep philosophical American fiction, he penned a little ditty called The Sirens of Titan.
What else did he pen, Ben?
He also did The Slaughterhouse-5.
Right.
Do you know that one?
Vaguely.
Okay. He did The Slaughterhouse-5. He did Cat's Cradle. He did... What else did he do?
The song The Cat's in the Cradle.
The Cat's in the Cradle with the silver spoon.
Silver spoon. That one. That was Kurt Vonnegut.
That's the one.
Oh,
I got that name wrong. Hang on, let me check that.
Little boy, I'll sing while you check it. Little boy blue and the man in the moon. When you're coming home, son, I don't know when.
Keep going.
No, I don't know the lyrics. Come on, Ben, what are you checking there? What are we talking about? Cat's Cradle, Kurt Vonnegut.
Oh, my internet's having a moment, Michael.
Kurt Vonnegut.
No, it is Cat's Cradle. I was right. Never mind, Michael. Never mind. I was absolutely right the whole damn time. One of the things that Vonnegut became very famous for, Michael, is timey-wimey, quantum, backwards, forwards. Time is more of an ocean, not a linear line kind of thing.
Right.
And you can dip in and out as you go along. And those became some of the defining traits of his fiction. He created a race, Michael, called the Tramflador.
Right.
And the Tramflador are a highly advanced alien civilization that take advantage of what's called the will of the universe.
Oh, the
Force.
Force.
The will of the universe is when thoughts manifest into physical reality over a period of millennia.
All right.
So you kind of have to go... Look, if you're going to read Kurt Vonnegut, it's going to get confusing. That's what you have to understand about Kurt Vonnegut as you go along. But basically, this features between two tycoon billionaires, Michael. The story takes place between two tycoon billionaires.
Jeff Bezos.
One of whom... Sorry?
Jeff Bezos.
Jeff Bezos or Malachi Constant.
Okay, that's Jeff Bezos, yeah. It's a parallel.
And another man called Donald Rumford.
Donald Trump, okay, I got
Donald Trump, yeah. And Michael, it deals... The premise is pretty easy. Mars has been discovered.
No, I thought we've known about it for years, Ben.
And more importantly, Mars has been attempted to be colonized, but it turns out Martians were there, and they weren't big fans, Michael.
Oh.
In a very Blade Runner-esque kind of way, Mars was colonized by humans, but over time that was forgotten, and they became Martians, and it became Martians versus Earthlings.
Oh, very clever. Okay,
yes,
that's in Warhammer too.
It's in Is it?
Yeah.
What is it in Warhammer?
Well, humanity spread among the stars, and then so much time and distance passed that colonies were lost and forgotten, leading to strange offshoots of humanity which were then rediscovered.
Oh, that's really interesting, Michael.
Yeah, it's cool.
So
I like that concept.
This tale takes place in the 26th century.
Okay.
Which is quite a few centuries from our own, Michael.
No, it's not. I would argue it's too close to our own for that to have happened.
No, it's quite distant from our own, Michael. For the purpose of this podcast, you wished.
No, it's like it's 400 years.
Yeah, 400 years of societal collapse and reintegration.
All right, look, I'll allow it, Kurt Vonnegut. You get off the hook this time. I think you need more time for that to be believable. But look,
that's
I'll
big.
Fine.
So
wait, hold on, Ben. Hold on. Are the Martians humans or not?
Well, we'll get into that.
All right. Go on.
So anyway, it gets really interesting. So, his name has disappeared from my brain. Malachi Constant is a billionaire, and he wants to go out and explore the solar system and the universe and all that kind of thing. And he has the money to do it, so off he goes. He's probably more of an Elon Musk, Michael, if you were looking for a parallel. But anyway, he goes out and he decides to just explore this, and he's like, look at me, first billionaire to rock this vibe. And then he comes across Rumford, and he's like, oh, I'm not the first billionaire to go out into space. Now, Rumford is interesting, and this is where it gets very 1960s Marvel cosmic kind of vibes. Donald Rumford went out with his loyal dog Kazakh,
right?
A couple of years before, and he ventured into the cosmos. And Michael, he came into contact with the continuum. He calls it the continuum, and the continuum transformed him into kind of a quantum being without corporeal body.
Right.
So he kind of echoes throughout the universe. But there's one place, Michael, where he can take on a corporeal form again.
Right.
Mars. And that's Venus.
Venus. I knew it was Venus. Even
so
when I said
Rumford
Mars. Meets
Malachi Constant and says, "Come here to me. Come out to me here now in Venus, and we have a chat, a proper chat."
Right. Yeah.
And it turns out he's been tricked, Michael.
Oh no.
He's being tricked. And this is where the Tramflador race come into it and stuff like that. They kind of travel through the universe and they find humans fascinating. So occasionally they'll visit into those worlds and stuff like that. And basically, not to spoil the heel and the reel of the jig, Michael, but it turns out that the entire universe in this novel is possibly the will of Rumford and Malachi Constant clashing against each other. So basically, the Tramfladors can move backwards and forwards through time,
right?
Kind of at will, but they can't influence things directly. So what they can do is they can set off dominoes.
I see.
And those dominoes can influence other things in time, etc., etc., etc. And really, the central theme of this little shindig, Michael, is free will actually free will, or is it just a series and chains of events that we have no control over that roll forward and we think is free will and decision? It's pretty interesting, Michael, but the reason I've chosen it...
Well, hold on a second. Let me get a word in there for a second. That's not dissimilar to the theme and ideas behind the short story, The Story of Your Life, which was remade as the film Arrival.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually very good. Very good. That's exactly what that is.
Yeah. I've got some comments to make. Benjamin, I'd like to read this. I've never even heard of it. I think you
would, Michael.
I don't know how I've never heard of it. I'm going to go read it now.
I think this would butter your buns.
I've bloody looked it up, Ben, and I tell you what, the cover has a sexy lady on it, like
does.
any old Edgar Rice Burroughs Warlords of Mars books.
It's got strong Edgar Rice Burroughs vibes.
Yeah. I don't think it's really it doesn't mesh with what you've just said about what's going on in the book.
It's marketing, Michael. It's marketing.
Marketing said we need a sexy lady in negligee on the cover of this book.
Also, the title of the book, Sirens of Venus. Sirens of Titan. Jesus. The Sirens of Titan are a little bit... it's very misleading. There are...
Yeah.
that concept of sirens is not...
This sounds like it's not going to be anywhere near as sexy as I was led to believe. But it sounds fascinating.
It is pretty interesting, Michael. Sorry, I said Venus twice in there. Venus does not feature. It's Titan, the moon of Mars.
You're always going on about Venus.
I don't know why I was going on about Venus. I don't know why. I think Sirens and Venus kind of just went together in my head for me.
You're obsessed with the song Venus by Bananarama.
Which says a lot more about me than it does about anything else.
Yeah.
But I think, Michael, this would be a very relevant thing for our time and needs, purely because it's the really interesting concept of what wealthy people get to do.
Yeah, their power controls the world, basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah, but in so much as they are granted far more opportunity by merit of having more money. And I like the quantum timey-wimey stuff.
Yeah.
I just like that. That's a bit of me. That's a bit of me.
That sounds good. Ben, I'm going to read that this week.
I think you'll enjoy it, Michael. I think you'll enjoy it. And you'll be able to give your full thoughts on next week's episode.
Yeah, I like this episode so far, Ben, because there are two things... well, I've read The Stand, but so far there are two cool recommendations. Benjamin, what?
Have you read the whole Stand?
Yeah, I've read many whole books.
You mighty, mighty man.
I've read all of it as well, Ben. I can't remember
monster.
which is longer. Are they about the same?
I think they're about the same.
Oh, yeah. I haven't read Stephen King's The Dark Tower, though. It's too much.
It's too much.
Get out of here. It's one book that's about 17 books long.
There's
Benjamin,
no need.
In line with your prescience in recommending The Stand when it's coming out as a TV show next month, is this also coming out as a TV show soon?
No, it isn't. No, this could be cast by ours truly.
Oh, that'd be good.
So we might do that in the future, Michael, after you've read it, because I think that might be
I'll read it.
A good way of doing it, Michael. We'll let you read it, and then we'll do a little fan cast in the future.
I haven't read it.
Yeah, I know. Once you've read it, Michael.
Yeah, I haven't read it yet, though.
You haven't read it yet, but when you do read it, Michael,
then we'll have a chat about it. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it'd be good. And finally, Michael, I've chosen one more, which is a bit more David Attenborough, a bit more actual possible apocalypse for us as humanity. And it's by J.G. Ballard. Now, if you don't know who J.G. Ballard is, J.G. Ballard.
What's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you? First of all, but second of all, he's pretty much he's the man who said that there should be no limits in science fiction. So that should give you a rough notion of occasionally what that man will talk about in a science fiction novel.
So he's sometimes the opposite of Margaret Atwood.
Yeah, it's pretty uncomfortable at times, though. Some of his novels are pretty gross, Michael.
Ah, gross boy. Okay, go on.
Yeah.
I'm interested.
Not this one, because I'm not into grossing out the listeners, Michael. I'm not into it.
Yes, you are. Last week we talked about the film Tusk, Ben.
Oh, yeah.
Wherein upon Justin Long's character is sewn into a walrus suit.
In fairness, none of J.G. Ballard's novels feature a walrus suit.
Yeah, well, there you go.
So it's still not as bad as Tusk.
Yeah.
Anyway, Michael, the novel I've chosen from J.G. Ballard is The Drowned World.
I've heard of it.
In his early career, in the early 60s, in 1962 is when this one was released. But in his early career, he wrote 3 novels called The Crystal World, The Drowned World, and The Burned World. And they were completely standalone novels that looked at 3 very different, distinct ways the world might drop into dystopia.
Yeah. Have we talked about this before?
I don't think so.
All right. Okay, go on then.
Have we?
No, I don't think so. It's just, I've got a deja vu.
Oh, fun. Fun.
Yeah.
Fun. That'll be the Tramfladors influencing you.
Oh, the Tramfladors that influenced me, or actress Amy Adams.
From the back of the universe.
Oh, by the way, Ben, you know I've been... sorry to cut across you, and this is entirely irrelevant, but you know I've been keeping you up to date with celebrity appearances in Buffy and Angel.
Yeah.
There was a minor character in a season 5 episode of Buffy, played by TV and cinema's Amy Adams.
No way.
Yeah, she had about 6 lines of dialogue.
What was she?
She was Tara,
Okay.
the lesbian witch.
Oh.
She was her conservative cousin.
Oh, Tara, the lesbian witch's conservative cousin. What a role. Yeah. The role of a lifetime.
Yeah, I know. It was Amy Adams from TV and cinema. It's really fascinating watching back over those shows and seeing who went on to become famous. Christina Hendricks is in one episode of Angel.
Get out of town.
She has a single line.
Oh, wow.
And is a busty bar wench.
Oh, a busty bar wench.
Yeah, with a single line of dialogue. Anyway, Ben, you were saying.
So the Drowned World, Michael, is set in 2145.
Yes.
As a year, so just to give you a little time scale on the future dystopia end of things. And Michael, it's exactly what you'd imagine. Rising sea levels have pretty much submerged a lot of the earth and changed the climate and things like that. And Michael, that's very prescient for us because the glacier up there in Norway has started to melt its final melt and is expected to raise the sea levels by upwards of 7 meters.
That seems unlikely, Ben.
Which isn't great. Great, Michael.
Ben, I'm almost certain that that's wrong.
By upwards of 7 meters, Michael.
7 meters. I suspect you don't know how much 7 meters is.
By upwards of 7 meters, Michael. So,
do you mean 7 centimeters?
By upwards of 7 meters.
7 whole meters. All right. Well, that sounds unlikely, but okay, we'll carry on.
By upwards of 7 meters, Michael.
Yeah. Okay, well, it was nice knowing you, and hopefully we'll meet again in the post-apocalypse.
Benjamin would definitely eat me for sustenance.
Oh yeah, no. I wouldn't eat you. I'd probably keep you in a cage, chop bits of you off, and sell bits of you to other people.
Well, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Would we still do a podcast?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd sew you into a walrus costume.
Oh, God.
It'd be gross and horrible, like the film Tusk.
That actually brings me to my strategy for the end of the world, Michael. I would actually top myself. There's no way I'm trying to take it on an apocalyptic landscape. I'm not going to win.
Gross.
I know.
Benjamin, I've already seen this film. It's called Waterworld, and it has Kevin Costner in it.
No.
He's drinking Michael, his own piss.
This is set in London, and government is still very much a thing. So there's the British government.
Right.
And this one follows around Robert Carranz, Dr. Robert Carranz, who is kind of a biologist and ecologist who's trying to study what the ecology of the world was actually like before the big event.
Yeah.
And to do that, he travels to something called the Lagoon. And the Lagoon is a huge submerged section of former London, right?
Right, yeah.
And he goes
there. Good
enough
enough for some parts of London, Ben.
Say again?
Good enough for some parts of London.
Hey.
Get them underwater.
So he goes there with his military escort and things like that. And he meets up with the lovely Beatrice.
Yeah.
Okay. And she's been studying at that site for many years. She's kind of a live-in researcher there.
Right.
And another doctor called Idens. I need to look up that name. I've definitely written it down wrong. But anyway, they meet there. And what happens is, Michael, as in kind of an interesting Stephen King callback, there's a plague of dreams, Michael.
A plague of dreams again.
And the people who live there are kind of visited by maddening visions as they sleep near the lagoon. And it's not mystical in nature, Michael. It's far more, gases in the atmosphere or released gases from the lagoon just kind of mess with your mind a little.
It's science fiction.
But anyway, what it leads to, Michael, is kind of a classic J.G. Ballard thing where Carranz is a man of society and he uses logic and education to try and make sense of the world gone to hell and things like that. And slowly that thread is pulled out and he's kind of unraveled by the maddening visions. And then, Michael, in what is the go-to science fiction dystopia play, we are introduced to the pirate character of Strangman.
Oh, I love pirates, Ben.
And he's kind of your classic Mad Max style road warrior.
Okay.
And he's got
like Gene Hackman.
And the military escort abandons Carranz and Beatrice and things like that. They run off because they go mad from the visions and they're like, well, feck this. And so society begins to crumble for Carranz and that kind of thing. And then comes Strangman. And Strangman is the more brutish adaptation to this new world. And it's very, very interesting, Michael. I won't spoil it, right? But world of Korans meets the world of Strangman, and there's bureaucracy and there's challenge and there's things like this all around the drowned world. It's very interesting, Michael, and I strongly recommend that you read it.
Okay, it's the lowest on my list so far.
Fair.
Because I've already seen it adapted into a film. It's called Waterworld.
Waterworld, starring Kevin Costner.
in it. And Gene Hackman plays the pirate.
It's not Gene Hackman.
I'm pretty sure it's... Oh no, it's
Dennis Hopper.
It's Dennis Hopper. I'm always getting those two.
I would really like to watch Gene Hackman in Waterworld, though.
Yeah, it's Dennis Hopper. It's not Gene Hackman at all.
They are very mixy-uppy.
Yeah. And Rutger Hauer.
It's fair. So those are my picks, ladies and gentlemen. Those are my picks for the retro second wave that you could take a look at.
Very good, Ben. I like all of those.
We did have one listener recommendation, Michael, who got in touch with us, and it was Sean Northridge, and he said that HBO should take a second crack at bloody John Carter of Mars.
I strongly agree.
Yeah, be good.
Yeah, I strongly agree. I think it's ripe for the taking. Now, as we said when we talked about John Carter of Mars, Ben, many years ago, one of the problems with John Carter of Mars is so many of the things in it were so formative in the genres of science fiction, fantasy.
Yes, that it comes off as pastiche now.
It comes off as pastiche or derivative. But imagine a Lovecraft Country-esque backing to a John Carter of Mars.
I mean, that's
delicious.
what you want, isn't it?
Yeah. It's what you want.
That's what you bloody want, Michael.
And everyone should be in the nude.
Yeah. Oh, nude.
Yeah, everyone's in the nude. Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Okay, so you want a fully nude John Carter of Mars.
Yeah, everyone in the nude. That would be great. I'd watch that, Ben. I don't know if I'd watch it for 6 seasons, but I mean, there's so much. It's ripe, Ben. The other one we had was a friend of the podcast, Shane, who said that he would love to see a modern reimagining of The Princess Bride.
Yes, he said, "This is the rock I will perish on. The Princess Bride should be remade, possibly with someone like Zack Snyder at the helm."
Yeah.
I think it would really benefit from more slow motion and CGI. That's what he said.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And a little bit more of a serious tone.
Yeah,
because,
he just, as he said, Michael, the first one is too playful, too imaginative, and too tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah, so really pare it back to the original novel. And really dive deep into the grim side of The Princess Bride.
What he also said was, I don't really go for that entire satire, turning the genre on its head shtick. Less of that, please.
Yeah, no, just keep it original and faithful.
He wanted to see John Cena as the Dread Pirate Roberts.
Yeah, John Cena. I actually think John Cena would be pretty good if they did remake. If they absolutely had to remake The Princess Bride, I think John Cena would be pretty good. Other than he's not skinny enough, but they could see GM skinny.
Starring The Rock.
Yeah, Benjamin. People are clamoring these days for a remake of Hocus Pocus.
And Hocus Pocus 2 has been announced, Michael.
Exactly, Ben. In the spookiest month of October. So there's no need to worry about that, bringing that back for the moderns.
Oh, I don't know how that's going to go, Michael. It's pretty classic. I don't know why you'd even just do a remastered.
Yeah, well, Ben, the thing about it is it's not that classic.
Is it not?
When it came out, it was an absolute financial and critical failure.
Has it just become a kitsch icon then, Michael?
Yeah. Even Disney can't explain why it became so popular.
I think
when it came out, they were like, "Oh no, we've made a mess of this."
So I genuinely read something about this, Michael, and it's to do with the drag community.
Yeah.
The LGBTQ plus community.
Yeah, there is some
Midler
of that,
being
all
a gay
right, for
icon,
sure.
And the Three Witches being very much in a drag aesthetic for a lot of the film.
Yeah.
Heavily makeup and things like that. I think a lot of it has to do with that. It's just this kitsch kind of drag utopia.
Yeah. And now it's basically dominates the month of October.
Yeah, it's great. There is actually a fantastic group here. I'm just going to give them a little shout out apropos of nothing, Michael. Look up Hocus Pocus Ireland on Instagram.
Good bunch of eggs.
They're great eggs, and they do, to my mind, Michael, the finest Hocus Pocus cosplay I've ever seen.
Very accurate, Ben.
They have a book. They have the book.
Yeah. They turned you into a cat, remember?
It turns you into a cat. Bloody...
You specifically, and you were like, I don't want to be a cat.
Yeah, well, I couldn't do the podcast because Michael used to be like, Ben, what's your hot take on Miss Marvel? And I'd be like,
meow. Benjamin, do you know the cat in Hocus Pocus? I was reading a lot about Hocus Pocus this week. You know the cat in Hocus Pocus is the same cat from Sabrina the Teenage Witch?
Of course it is.
I mean, the animatronic cat. It's the same cat.
Oh, I thought you meant talking cats. I thought you were doing a bit.
No. It's the same cat. It's the same animatronic cat.
That's
from
gas.
both of them. Isn't it? It's quite funny.
Witches galore for bloody animatronic cat Salem.
Yeah.
Lads, that's it from us this week. That was a strange tangent at the end.
Yeah, sorry, I went a bit of a tangent there.
Roald Dahl's The Witches has been remade as well, starring Anne
Did
Hathaway.
you see the trailer with Anne Hathaway as the Joker? What's
Out
going
of nowhere.
on?
Out of nowhere. Anyway, we'll get into that, Michael, because there is an episode coming up where we'll be able to deal with all that.
All right. We'll talk about that later. We
Ladies
probably
and
should have
gentlemen,
mentioned
what
that
are your
earlier.
big, deep sci-fi recommends? What are your sci-fi deep cuts? What are your fantasy deep cuts? What do you recommend, literarily speaking, to Michael and myself? Do get in touch with us. You can do so in the following ways. We're on the interwebs at www.seomrabeag.com.
It means tiny room in Irish.
We're also on the Instagram at Seomrabeag, SEOMRABEAG.
Still means tiny room in Irish, kind of.
You're just so inconsistent with that bit. You just keep missing the mark.
Kind of.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are listening to us on the Spotify,
Yeah.
do share us with your pals. If
Share
you're
us
looking
with
for any
your pals.
sci-fi recommendations, go up there to the little 3 dots in the corner, tap it, go to share, and share it directly, or put it on your Instagram story.
Tap that link.
If you're on the Apple Podcast, ladies and gentlemen, give us an L review.
Give us an hour review.
Come on, we deserve it. We do this for an hour every bloody week.
Yeah.
I'm kept in a cage and fed to marauders on a post-apocalyptic landscape, and I still do it. It's terrible.
Yeah, just little bits.
Just little bits and pieces. If you're listening to us on any of the other platforms that we're not really sure how you review on, figure out how to review on it and give us a review, please.
Give us a review, yeah.
We'd really, really appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, next week we will be talking about sci-fi political systems, politics in space.
Are we?
Which was recommended to us by a good pal of the podcast, Dr. Cadwell.
Oh, that's a good idea. We can talk about the Klingons. Ben.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to look at political structures in space.
The Romulans.
But for this week, ladies and gentlemen, that's it from us. Bye-bye.
We can talk about the Jem'Hadar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next week, Michael. Next week.
The Jedi Council, Ben. We can talk about them.
Next week.
Yeah, all right. We'll do that next week, will we?
Yeah, next week.
All right. Okay. I'll see you next week then.
All right, see you next week. Bye now. Bye.
Okay. See you now.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye. Bye. I'll leave you go. Bye. Bye. Bye.